We bought 12 bottles of olive oil from 8 UK supermarkets and brands: Tesco, Sainsbury's, Aldi, Lidl, Asda, Napolina, Bertolli. Then we did what almost nobody does in the aisle. We read every word on every label and checked it against the legal standard. 4 of them are not extra virgin olive oil. That is not an opinion. Under the standards Britain carried over from EU law, they sit in a different legal category, and one has been processed twice before it reaches your pan. The rest are extra virgin. But extra virgin is a floor, not a ceiling. 2 bottles can both be legally extra virgin and differ tenfold in the compounds that actually do something for you. So 8 bottles that failed, counting down to the worst thing on the shelf. Then 4 worth your money, ending with the best olive oil in a British supermarket. And by the end, you will know a 10-second test you can run at home that beats any label. Let's start with the near miss. At number 8, Lidl Eridanus Greek Extra Virgin Olive Oil PDO. This one hurts because on paper it is the most impressive bottle on the failed list. PDO stands for Protected Designation of Origin, and for olive oil it is specific. The olives must be grown, harvested and milled inside one registered zone, with paperwork tying grove to mill. And Greek PDO oils are overwhelmingly Koroniki, so you get a single cultivar rather than a mystery blend. One olive, one place, one harvest. So why is it here at all? Because PDO regulates geography. It does not regulate chemistry. There is no organic requirement in the scheme, and growers have one enormous reason to spray. The olive fruit fly, Bactrocera olea, lays its eggs inside the developing fruit, and the larva eats it from the inside out. An untreated infestation can take out 1/3 of a harvest, so they treat for it. The standard for decades was dimethoate, and the EU declined to renew its approval in 2019. What replaced it varies farm by farm, and PDO paperwork will not tell you which. Pure by geography, unverified by chemistry, that is why it only just fails. The next one fails for something on the label if you know the most important date is the one they left off. At number 7, Tesco Extra Virgin Olive Oil. Pick up this bottle and look for a date. You will find one. It is the best before date, and it is close to useless. It is set by the bottler, typically 18 to 24 months from the day the oil went into the bottle, not from the day the olives were picked. And that gap is where the quality dies. Oil is pressed in autumn, then sits in tanks at a mill or a bulk trader, sometimes past the next harvest, waiting to be sold and bottled. The clock only starts at the end of that journey. A bottle with 14 months left can hold oil pressed 2 harvests ago. That matters because extra virgin is the only major cooking oil sold with no added antioxidants. The rules forbid it. Everything protecting it is what the olive put there, and it depletes from pressing onward until you have oil that is still legally sellable and nutritionally hollow. The fix is a harvest date. Producers proud of their turnaround print it because it is the one number proving the oil is young. Tesco does not. Neither the harvest year nor the pressing month appears anywhere. You are buying oil of unknown age at extra virgin prices. The next bottle has the opposite problem. The issue is what the shop has been doing to it since it arrived. At number 6, Aldi Extra Virgin Olive Oil. Everything about this bottle is fine until you notice where it has been standing. Extra virgin olive oil has an enemy most people never think about. Not heat, not air, light. The green colour in good olive oil comes from chlorophyll, and chlorophyll is a photosensitizer. Under light, it hands energy to the oxygen dissolved in the oil, converting it into singlet oxygen, a far more aggressive form that attacks the fats directly. Trials on oil in clear glass under retail lighting show quality markers collapsing many times faster than the same oil kept dark. Now picture the aisle. Supermarket lighting runs constantly, often 18 hours a day, and that bottle may have sat under it for weeks. Every hour is exposure the producer never accounted for. There is a second problem on top. The value formats that make budget extra virgin attractive, litre bottles and big tins, take a household a long time to finish. Every pour replaces oil with air. By the last third, you are storing oil over nearly as much oxygen as oil. Dark glass, small format, cool cupboard, finished within weeks of opening. That is what this oil needed, and nothing on the bottle encourages it. Quick reality check. Everything we've looked at so far is still legally extra virgin. From here on, the problems get much bigger. At number 5, Sainsbury's extra virgin olive oil. Turn the bottle round and look for the origin. What you find on a supermarket's own label is a phrase lifted from the rulebook rather than from a farm. A blend of olive oils from more than one country. That phrase hides an enormous amount. A blend can be 2 countries or 7. The proportions are not declared, not fixed, and can change between runs without a word on the label changing. Bulk oil moves around the Mediterranean in tankers, bought and sold on price, blended to a target flavour and cost. When the market moves, the recipe moves with it, and the market moved violently. Back-to-back drought hit Spain, which produces close to half the world's olive oil, and prices more than doubled across 2023 and 2024. When the raw material triples, the pressure to widen the blend goes up with it. That is also when Italian and Spanish police start seizing adulterated consignments, because fraud follows margin. None of this means the bottle in your hand is fake. It means nobody in that chain, Sainsbury's included, can point at one grove and one mill and say this came from there. Now we cross a legal line and the drop is steep. If this helped you make better decisions, subscribe and stay tuned. We take apart a different supermarket category every week, and these next 4 are the ones sitting in most people's cupboards right now. At number 4, Tesco olive oil. Read the small print and you will find a sentence that changes everything. Composed of refined olive oils and virgin olive oils. Different legal category, not extra virgin, not virgin. The word refined is doing the heavy lifting, so let's do this once properly because it explains the next 3 bottles too. Refining runs in 3 stages and each takes something out. Neutralization, where caustic soda strips out the free fatty acids. Bleaching, where activated clay pulls out the pigments. Then deodorization, steamed under vacuum at 180 to 220 degrees to drive off every volatile compound left. What survives is chemically clean, pale, and almost inert. Aroma gone. Pigment gone. The polyphenols, the entire reason anyone connects olive oil with health, effectively gone. A little virgin oil goes back in purely so it smells vaguely of olives again. Here is the part that catches people out. Free acidity gets quoted as a quality measure and lower is meant to be better. Extra virgin is capped at 0.8%, refined at 0.3. By that number alone, the refined oil looks superior. It is not. Its acidity is low because a chemical process removed the acid, not because the fruit was any good, and the finished blend is allowed a UV absorbance reading roughly 4 times higher than extra virgin, the measurement that actually reveals how much processing it has been through. Think refined oil is bad? The next bottle convinced millions of people it's actually healthier. At number 3, Asda Light in colour olive oil. Light. One of the most profitable words in the supermarket, and on an olive oil bottle it doesn't mean what you think. Same refining as the bottle we just covered. The difference is what the marketing does with it. Look at the exact wording. Light in colour. Not light. Light in colour. That is careful phrasing, not clumsy phrasing. Under the nutrition claims rules, calling a food light is a regulated claim you have to actually deliver, meaning a substantial reduction in energy or fat against a comparable product. Olive oil can never do that. It is pure fat, around 120 calories a tablespoon, identical on that measure to the darkest, greenest oil in the shop. Not 1 calorie less. So the label describes the colour instead and lets your brain finish the sentence. That pale colour is the bleaching stage, visible. But the real damage is why people buy it. Ask shoppers and most say it is better for high heat cooking because the smoke point is higher. Smoke point is the wrong measure. It tells you when an oil starts to smoke, not how it behaves chemically over 20 minutes in a hot pan. The measure that matters is oxidative stability, which in olive oil comes from monounsaturated fat and natural polyphenols working as antioxidants while it heats. Refining leaves the fat and strips the polyphenols. So this oil hits the pan with its defenses removed, and heating trials repeatedly find good extra virgin holding up better under sustained heat than refined oils with higher smoke points. You bought it to cook with. It is worse at cooking than the bottle you avoided because you thought it was too precious to heat. Same category again next, except now you are paying a brand premium for it. At number 2, Napolina Light and Mild Olive Oil. Napolina sells Italy. The name, the red and green, the pasta aisle heritage. And the oil in this bottle sits in the same legal class as the two we just covered. So let's skip the processing. There is exactly one health claim regulators have ever allowed olive oil to make, and this bottle cannot make it. On the authorized claims register, an olive oil may state that its polyphenols help protect blood lipids from oxidative stress. That claim is not free. The oil must contain at least 5 milligrams of hydroxytyrosol and its derivatives per 20 grams, roughly a tablespoon and a half. That is where the effect was actually demonstrated. A refined blend cannot get near it. You will never see that claim on a light and mild bottle from any brand, because it is legally unavailable to the category. And this is the most useful thing to look for in the aisle. Producers who clear that bar shout about it. You will see polyphenol content printed in milligrams per kilo on the back of Serious Extra Virgin, often between 250 and 500. Bottles that print nothing are telling you something by staying quiet. So the entire nutritional argument for choosing olive oil over a cheap seed oil evaporates. You are left with a mild, neutral cooking fat sold at a premium over own-label versions of the identical thing wearing an Italian flag. You are paying for the name and receiving the category. You'd think it couldn't get any worse. It does. And the worst product on the shelf, number 1, Bertolli olive oil spray. This is the worst product on the shelf, and it is worth being precise about why. Not 1 failure, 2 stacked. The first you already know. It starts as a refined blend, so everything already covered has already happened before the can exists. Then it gets processed again. To atomize through a nozzle, oil has to be thinned and stabilized. That means emulsifiers, usually lecithin, sometimes water or alcohol as a carrier, and a propellant, typically propane or butane, sitting in the can with your cooking oil. None of that improves the oil. It is engineering to make a fat behave like an aerosol. It also has a side effect most people blame on their cookware. Lecithin does not burn off cleanly. It bakes onto a hot surface as a sticky varnish that builds up film by film, and it is the most common reason a non-stick pan stops being non-stick. The spray you bought to protect the pan is what ruins it. Then the number on the front. 1 calorie per spray. It sounds transformative until you check the serving size. 1 spray is roughly 1/4 gram. Nobody cooks with 1/4 gram. 2 seconds across a frying pan is several grams, and the calories scale straight up. The label is not lying, it is measuring a portion nobody uses, and the cost is extraordinary. Divide by the actual oil in the can and spray lands at several times the price per litre of a decent bottle of extra virgin. Most processed, least oil, highest price per litre, and it kills your pans. Before we continue, I've spent years standing in supermarket aisles so you don't have to. The supermarket method is everything I've learned from hundreds of supermarket products, distilled into one simple guide you can use on every shopping trip. Scan the QR code on your screen, grab your copy, and let's get back to the rankings. Now, the good news. 4 of these genuinely deliver, and the cheapest is on this list. Starting at number 4, Sainsbury's Esso Organic Unfiltered Extra Virgin Olive Oil. Hold this one up to the light and it looks slightly cloudy. That is not a fault. That is the point. Unfiltered, sometimes called veiled oil, means it went from mill to bottle without the final polishing filtration. Suspended in it are microscopic particles of olive pulp and droplets of vegetation water, and those particles carry polyphenols. It is why fresh, unfiltered oil tests higher on antioxidants than the same oil filtered. There is a trade-off, and it is why this sits at 4 rather than higher. That suspended water and pulp is organic matter, and organic matter has a clock on it. Over months, the sediment settles and can ferment, producing a muddy, winey off-note that is a recognized defect. Filtered oil is more stable on a long shelf life. Unfiltered rewards you for drinking it young. So the rule is simple. Keep it cool and dark, use it within a few months, and pour from the top rather than shaking the sediment through. Treat it as fresh produce rather than a cupboard staple, and it will beat almost everything on the failed list. You also get organic certification, which controls what happened on the grove in the first place, and that is where the next one takes us. Next up at number 3, Biona Organic Extra Virgin Olive Oil. Organic is a word people nod along to without knowing what it forbids. In an olive grove, it is unusually meaningful. Go back to the olive fruit fly. In conventional groves, it is controlled with synthetic insecticides sprayed on the fruit you're about to press. Organic certification removes that option. Growers handle the same fly with mass trapping, kaolin clay that coats the fruit so the fly will not lay in it, and spinosad bait from soil bacteria. More labour, lower yield, and audited. The audit is what matters. Certification is not a sticker. It is an annual inspection by a licensed control body with records on every input applied to every parcel, buffer zones where an organic grove borders a conventional one, and a conversion period of years before land is certified. It carries through the mill too. An organic harvest cannot run through a mill that just pressed conventional fruit. The line must be cleaned or the batch scheduled separately, and the mill keeps mass balance records proving the litres of oil out match the kilos of organic olives in. That is a documented chain of custody from tree to tank, the strongest guarantee available to somebody in an aisle with no laboratory. Certification tells you how the fruit was grown. The next bottle is about the hours right after it was picked. At number 2, Carapelli Organic Extra Virgin Olive Oil. Cold pressed is another phrase repeated so often it has stopped meaning anything. In European law, it means something exact. It is a number. An oil may only be called cold extracted or first cold pressed if the paste never exceeded 27 degrees Celsius during malaxation, the slow churning that lets tiny oil droplets merge so they can be separated. Warm it, and they merge faster, so the mill gets more oil from the same fruit. It also drives off the volatile aromatics and cuts polyphenol content. Every degree over that line is yield bought with quality. A second decision matters just as much in the separator. Older 3-phase decanters add water to split oil from solids. Polyphenols are water-soluble, so a share leave with the wastewater. Modern 2-phase systems use little or no added water and keep far more in the bottle. Then there is time. Olives start fermenting the moment they are picked, so the best mills work same day, before free acidity starts climbing. Cold extraction, modern separation, and a short trip from grove to mill separate a very good extra virgin from a merely legal one. This bottle is built on all three at a price that is not eye-watering, which leaves the best bottle in a British supermarket, and the best olive oil in a British supermarket. Number 1, Duchy Organic Italian Extra Virgin Olive Oil. Everything the failed list was missing, this bottle has, starting with one word: Italian, not a blend from more than one country. A single country declaration means a defined origin and a producer accountable for it, layered on full organic certification. That is the paperwork. Here is the part you can verify yourself tonight with no equipment. Pour a teaspoon into a small glass. Cup it in your hand for 30 seconds, because warmth releases the aromatics. Sip. Hold it in your mouth, draw a little air across it, then swallow. You're looking for 3 things in order: fruitiness at the front, green and grassy, bitterness across the middle of the tongue, and then, a second or two after swallowing, a peppery sting at the back of the throat that can make you cough. That cough is the whole point. The compound responsible is oleocanthal, and in 2005, a team publishing in Nature worked out why. It irritates a receptor at the back of the throat and inhibits the same Kiox enzymes ibuprofen acts on. The sting is not a flaw. It is a direct readout of the anti-inflammatory polyphenol content in that bottle. Sicilian growers have graded oil by counting coughs for generations. 1 cough is decent, 3 is exceptional. Now run that test on a light and mild refined blend. No bite, no bitterness, nothing at the back of the throat. 10 seconds tells you what the label was built to obscure. Duchy Organic Coughs. So here is what to do with this. Check the category first. If the small print says composed of refined olive oils and virgin olive oils, put it back whatever the front says and whatever the word light implies. That one sentence rules out 4 of the 8. Then check the origin. A single named country beats a blend because somebody is accountable. Look for a harvest date, buy dark glass, and buy a size you will finish in a couple of months. And at home, do the cough test. 10 seconds, and the only check here that does not depend on trusting a label. The 4 that passed were Sainsbury's SO Organic Unfiltered, Bayona Organic, Carapelli Organic, and at the top, Duchy Organic Italian Extra Virgin. Now, which of the 8 failures is in your cupboard? Tell us in the comments. We are genuinely curious how many of you have the spray. And if you think olive oil was bad, wait until you see what we found on the honey shelf. That one is next, and it is worse.